What's going on, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews, where I give you guys a look at what's in my pocket and kind of give you a rundown on it. Today I am carrying the True North Knives exclusive miniature A3. This is a collaboration piece between Thorburn Van Heerden and Thorburn, both knife makers out of South Africa. They got together to make these A2 pieces. They actually had the front flipper version picked up by Boker for a production run. From what I understand, it's pretty popular. They're up to, I think, the A7 now, and this is the A3. So, quickly, let's run down the specs. It is a titanium liner lock with anodized titanium liners. We have G10 scales. See, it's black G10 with blue G10 inlays, a blue G10 pivot collar, custom pivot hardware, but luckily they've accommodated the Torx option there. We have a G10 pocket clip standoff. This pocket clip is fantastic. Titanium pocket clip. You can see they've done some milling there. It is a flipper. You can see this is a popular South African choice to do some milling in the flipper tab. So, blade length 2 7/8 inches. Handle length is 3 7/8 inches. Overall length 6 7/8 inches. Obviously it's a flipper, and the action is incredibly smooth. Sheer Gorovs tend to have the reputation as being basically the smoothest flippers out there, and this is easily on par with the Sheer Gorovs that I've handled. It is just exceptionally fast and exceptionally smooth. The blade just kind of falls closed when you unlock the knife. The D10 isn't really all that strong either. This is one of the few knives I can deploy with my thumb, which is pretty rare for a flipper. But the D10 isn't all that strong. I'll give you see, I can flick it out. I mean, it's strong enough to where, you know, you're not gonna have the knife just pop out when you're walking around, but if you really give it a good wrist flick, it'll pop out. So let's get into the good and bad here. Oh, I forgot to mention it's M390 blade steel, and this is an American Tonso, I believe, blade shape. It's hollow ground, but it's a variable grind. You can see back here it's a high hollow towards the tip, maybe about halfway. Really an interesting grind, and useful too. I mean, this thing is, you can see the primary cutting edge there is completely straight, and then you get some a little bit of belly on the tip, tops wedge there. Just a really cool blade design. The fit and finish on this knife is impeccable. It's dead centered. The lockup is perfect. Ergonomically, even for a small knife, it's just this jimping is next level stuff. It's not sharp in the least bit, and you can kind of run your thumb over it, but as soon as you apply the slightest bit of pressure, your thumb cannot move. In fact, the jimping is so good, you can actually open the knife with that jimping. Now that's, yeah, you really don't see that too often, somebody paying that much attention to jimping on the spine of the knife. Most of the time it's either aesthetic or it's an afterthought. This was really well thought out, and for a smaller knife you kind of need that. I mean, the flipper tab obviously provides, you know, some safety there, but that jimping is crazy good. We have just about a full G10 backspacer, and you can see the shape that they went for here was kind of like a hexagonal, you know, everything's kind of right angles, but it's it's rounded off so you really don't feel it. They even went so far as to shape the blade here so that it sits flush with those like hexagonally shaped handle scales. Now the smoothness of this knife and the action is really thanks to that right there. That's multi-row IKBS. That is the source of its incredible action, and also the one ding I guess I would give this knife. Really, it's not a ding, but I'm a big fan of disassembling and reassembling my knives. It makes it kind of a nightmare to do an IKBS knife, and to do a multi-row IKBS knife. From what I've heard, this thing has like 90 bearings, 90 tiny ball bearings in the pivot there, which I'm not even going to attempt to deal with. Luckily, I've been using this thing for a few weeks now, and I've not felt even the slightest bit of grittiness come into the action. And that's without any kind of lubrication, nothing like that. It's just, this is how it came out of the box. Yeah, that's basically the only negative I can think of. The details though. The flipper tab has just the smallest little bit of run of jimping here, which makes it perfect to light switch. Easily push buttonable. Like I said, I can actually flip this open with my thumb, which is pretty rare for a knife, especially one that has such a light detent. You know, you can flip this thing however you want it. It's coming open. Centering is completely perfect. This rides really well in the pocket too. Makers, a lot of times they prefer the aesthetic of the pocket clip over the function. This thing is function first for sure. I mean, they did obviously do some milling there in the pocket clip, but functionally this rides the perfect depth. It's not the most super deep carry, which I do like, but it's deep enough. Yeah, such a pleasure to use this knife. Like I said, this is an exclusive. I think they still have one more over at True North Knives. I would snatch it up if you were interested in a smaller flipper with really impeccable build quality and action. The lockup on this knife is completely perfect, and like I said when I was raving about the Burger, there's zero lock stick. For titanium on steel, that's pretty crazy. That's just lock geometry done properly. I love the sound that makes when it flips open. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I really don't have much more to say. Like I said, the only negative might be is if you're like me and you like to disassemble your knives. A multi-row IKBS like this makes that kind of a nightmare. But other than that, this knife was done really well. Props to Thorburn and Van Heerden. This was really a well thought out, well designed, and well built knife. Alright guys, take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.